Hey boos, in this video I give commentary based on my opinion. Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
Cause I'm a boss. Oh, hell no.
In our family, the birds and bees talk gets divided up by the six. Tip took the lead with Messiah and Money. I always talk to Zanique and Deyjah. Now it's Tip's turn again with King.
What's up?
I was trying to get to the bottom of things with King, trying to see if he having sex.
Huh?
Whoa.
Why you coming out with the sex word?
Because King got a little friend, and he be in love like he's a lover boy.
He having sex?
No, I'm not. I'm a virgin. It's other things than sex.
That between him and his poem. Let him and his poem have the best time of their life.
Now I ain't talking about no phone.
What is you talking about?
A girl is involved.
A girl is involved.
Yes.
Not being responsible, because I could have been one.
You supposed to know better than being out there and engaging in adult activity. Don't let a temporary itch dig you out a permanent ditch.
Hi guys, it's Yanni and I'm back with another video. In today's video, we're going to be unpacking the sit-down interview with T.I. on the Red Table Talk. And I wanted to talk about this today because this is really opening the doors to a conversation that needs to be had among Black fathers. And my question for you today is this: do Black fathers know the difference between control, protect, and educate? Do they truly know what that means and what that looks like when it comes to father-daughter relationships? And also another thing that I want to highlight before really unpacking this video: if you truly thought that you were going to get an honest conversation from T.I. or an honest response from the backlash, this man is a cheater. Cheaters are also liars. He's also a narcissist. So if you thought that you were going to get a truthful interview from him, you played yourself. So I don't want to make this video about how he wasn't being honest, about how he's going back on what he said. He's a narcissist. That's what narcissists do. So with that being said, if you thought this video was going to be about gossiping about how he's a liar and how he wasn't being honest throughout this video, that's not what I want to make this video about. But I do want to unpack some of the things that he had to say in this video and where it really stems from, because T.I. is a product of his environment, and that is being overlooked. Everyone wants to bash him, but they're not understanding that he is a product of his environment. And a lot of Black men have this mentality because they were raised by single mothers, and that is traumatizing for any Black male growing up in a household watching his mother struggle every single day. I don't care what anyone has to say about it. That is the truth. It is traumatizing, and it's something that a lot of Black men don't understand, and they take on this authoritative role with their daughters to try to prevent their daughters turning out like their mothers. So let's unpack this interview, but first let's go ahead and take a look to see what T.I. had to say regarding the backlash. And I'm also going to be flashing back to the original podcast interview with the Ladies Like Us, so we can catch him in how he was backtracking what he originally said, and then I'll be back for the remainder of my commentary.
Set this record straight. I never said I was in any exam room. That is an assumption.
Right.
That is a falsity.
Got it.
I never said that it was being done present day.
Right.
As an 18-year-old.
So have you had the sex talk with your daughters?
Have I? We go.
Which, by the way, your daughters are so beautiful.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
So,
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you have your hands full.
And like the other one's 18,
absolutely.
so she definitely knows about
and
sex.
see,
but
this
I'm
is
just
the
wait,
thing.
It's Deyjah, right? She's 18,
Yes,
right?
Deyjah's 18, just graduated high school now, and she's attending her first year of college, figuring it out for herself. And yes, not only have we had the conversation, We have yearly trips to the gynecologist to check her height.
Oh, okay.
I'm done with you right now.
So, you know.
Do you go with her?
She's a prisoner.
Yes, I go with her.
Somebody check on
I
Deyjah.
go with her.
She is a prisoner.
So let me tell you, right? So this is one time we go. I think this might have been after her 16th birthday. And this is what we do. Like, you know, right after the birthday, we celebrate. And,
We go and check her hymen after.
And then,
What the fuck?
you know, usually like the day after the party, she's enjoying her gifts. I put a sticky note on the door. Gyno. Tomorrow, 9:30.
Oh, this is great.
And so look, right? So we'll go. You know what I mean? We'll go and we sit down. We'll sit down, and the doctor will come and talk. And you know, the doctor's maintaining a high level of professionalism. He's like, well, you know, sir, I have to. You know, in order for me to share information, I say, Deyjah, they want you to sign this. They want you to sign
this right now. I need to know if your hymen's still there.
so we can share information. Is there anything that you would not want me to know? Oh, okay. See, Doc, ain't no problem.
She was 15 and 16 years old at the time.
And I never said that her mother wasn't present.
Right.
Her mom was
too.
present
They
every
went
time.
together.
Right.
You know, he was just, you know, most fathers don't go, but he was just present.
Right.
Yeah.
And he didn't make the doctor's appointment.
No,
It was already,
no.
you know, appointment.
And all of these things, this narrative, this false narrative has just been sensationalized.
So at the time, her mother welcomed your presence, and your
Sure.
daughter did too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was never any objection.
Right.
She did have a problem with me talking about it, however.
Right.
And I understand
That's-
that. And I'm incredibly apologetic to her.
This is where his narcissism really comes out, when he was basically getting upset at the fact that he received backlash behind this entire situation of people creating false narratives behind what he said. But what he doesn't understand is that he was being insensitive regarding his daughter's feminine journey. If he wasn't being insensitive, people would have never been able to create a false narrative behind what he said. But of course, he can't admit that he was wrong. And he even said that, I don't feel like apologizing to anyone out here, the weirdos, but her. And then the way he apologized publicly wasn't a real apology. He felt like he really didn't owe anyone an apology. And this is why no one could really take the interview serious. And this was basically the intro to the interview. So I'm sure a lot of people after that didn't even want to listen to what he had to say, because he's not apologetic about his actions and what he did and the harm that he caused on his daughter's life. Public embarrassment can lead to suicide, and he should have went on this platform, and that's the first thing out of his mouth, was to publicly apologize to his daughter. And he didn't feel the need to do so, because again, he's not apologetic. Apologetic people own up to what they did. They acknowledge what they did and they apologize for it, and that's something that he refused to do. But let's go ahead and take a look to see at what else he had to say.
I want to know, what is the purpose and place of a father in this society? Because a father like myself, who wants to be as involved and as attentive as possible, we could draw the conclusion of, we just donate sperm and come pay for things, and we don't really have no say-so in how things are handled.
There's just certain things about raising a man
Right.
that I can't know.
Yeah.
I would tell him, love your daughter,
Right.
let me teach her.
Got you.
Yeah.
Because there's certain sensitivities
Okay.
That you just don't understand.
that you might not understand and have, just
This is
because
true.
of your relationship in the world
I
is
respect that.
different.
In this part of the interview, Jada was really trying to check T.I. on his patriarchal mentality, because he doesn't know his place as a man. He thinks controlling a woman and her body and how she carries herself and how she dresses, he thinks that that is what being a protective father really means, but it's not. It's a patriarchal mentality where a man is trying to control a woman when he is not a woman. He doesn't know what it means to be a woman. He doesn't know anything about being a woman in a woman's feminine journey. He doesn't know anything about it, but wants to try to control that woman. And he just didn't get it. Like, he wasn't really comprehending what that meant. And it's like, how can you control a woman's feminine journey when you're not a woman and you don't even understand the sensitivity centered around her feminine journey? So how can you speak on it? How can you control it?
But in order to guide or direct, you must have a certain level of control of anything.
Okay, so how do you want us to understand your level of control in which you were speaking of?
Well, I think that in the age or the time where our women, black women, are the most unprotected, unattended, disregarded women on the planet. I'm being criticized because I'm willing to go above and beyond to protect mine.
Right.
And I'm talking about all of the little slimy, grimy, chubby-fingered little boys who want to just come and defile and destroy the sanctity that I have. Hey, man, listen, I'm just saying, right? I don't understand anything that is the most important thing to me in my life. I am going to deal with that with very extreme care. And I don't understand how that is looked at as being so wrong.
My next point is this, and I want to speak to the fathers for a sec. As a father, where do you draw the line for your children? And this can be applied to both men and women, boys and girls. As a father, where do you draw the line between trying to protect your child versus trying to allow your child to learn from experiences? Because T.I.'s approach is trying to prevent his daughter from making a mistake to where it's coming across overbearing, authoritative, and controlling. So as a parent, and this can go for both fathers and mothers, where do you draw the line? What boundaries do you have in place for your child to be protected, but to also allow them to go out into the world and make their own mistakes so that they can grow from them? Because as a parent, you can instill values and principles in your child, but at the end of the day, they still have to go out into the world and learn for themselves. So as a parent, where do you draw the line to allow your child to go out into the world to make those mistakes so that they can learn and grow from them versus trying to prevent them and trying to control them? Because there is a difference. I would love your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section, but let's go ahead and get back to the remainder of this interview.
Right.
Do you think that's the part you were trying to protect her from?
Yes, because if you aren't
you
able,
feel like young boys that age would not be able to care for
defile
your
and destroy
daughter. Care for your daughter emotionally in the way in which you think she deserves.
Absolutely.
And that's what it was about. Well, let me ask you another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's say that you found out that she, at 15 or 16 years old, wasn't a virgin. What would you have done then?
Your childhood ends when you lose your virginity. That's it. Now you've ended your childhood, and it's time to begin adulthood. And I can't let you run around trying to enjoy the luxuries of adulthood without any of the responsibilities of adulthood.
I always think it's so interesting in how men treasure their daughter's virginity, but not their sons.
A son versus a daughter.
Right.
If my son goes out and gets a girl pregnant, how is the household changed for those 9 months? The household does not necessarily change those 9 months. Whereas if my daughter come home, my household is changed immediately.
That part of the interview was misogynistic, and it was highly disappointing that Jada and her mom didn't check T.I. for what he said, because that's the problem with the black community. That's the problem with this new generation of men. They are not being held to the same standard or responsibility when it comes to a woman getting pregnant. And that's the part that I have an issue with when it came to this entire interview. See, he's so focused on how his daughter could possibly mess up his household by getting pregnant, but he's not concerned about how his son could turn around and do that for the next household. With this mindset, with this mentality, the black community, the black family will never move forward. Because if you're going to continue to put all the responsibility on the woman, including when it comes to raising her from a little girl to a grown woman, the cycle is going to repeat itself. This is why you have so many Black women walking around believing in the strong, independent Black woman rhetoric. Look at it like this. So, have you ever wondered why it doesn't matter if a Black woman is raised by a single mother or a present father? We still all have the same mentality. We still all believe in the strong, independent Black woman rhetoric. Why is that? And I'm going to answer that for you. The reason is because either we're raised by a Black single mother or we're raised by a present father who was then raised by a Black single mother. So what does that mean? That means the cycle will continue. That mentality is going to be passed down through generations. If we don't start holding these young boys to the same standard and responsibility, the Black community will not move forward.
Right.
Yeah.
The virginity of my daughter versus the virginity of my son. Okay, so it's the same conversation around mom versus dad, because mom can tell daughter not to cut her hair, not to perm her hair, not to color her hair, not to get piercings or whatever, but she can give her body away to anybody she wants to without pop saying anything.
Well, here's the thing, though. This is what you have to understand, though. It's a patriarchal structure. That is not all that...
I heard that word before.
Yes, which
I heard that term before. I didn't know that term was a thing, patriarch.
Well, it's like it is structured by the views and the outlook of men.
Okay.
And it tends to be, at times, often oppressive to the feminine journey. What I appreciate about this moment and what I appreciate about you is understanding that this is a teachable moment.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And also, I think that it's great for me to have this opportunity, and I think that all things happen in life for a reason.
Absolutely.
You know, every lesson has a purpose, and it must be dealt with differently. But out of care and out of concern, not out of control.
And out of education.
I don't think that our community, our culture, our generation can be pushed forward by having comfortable, convenient discussions.
That's real.
We have to have tough discussions in order to move forward.
I'm going to wrap up my commentary by saying this. When T.I. was speaking on virginity and he was comparing his son to his daughter, what he needs to understand is that they both need to be viewed the same. The same standard, the same expectations, the same rhetoric needs to be applied to his son. Why? Because when speaking on the Black community, you allowing your son to do whatever and not holding him to the same standard is ruining the next household. So that affects the Black community as a collective. And how is it that you can allow your son to ruin the next household, but then expect for the next man who is head of his household respect your daughter? It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like we're running around in circles chasing each other and no one is making any sense. So T.I. needs to understand that you holding your daughter to this standard, but then you're allowing your son to run around scot-free, not understanding that he could definitely mess up the next household. And why is it that T.I. has this view on how his daughter getting pregnant ruins his household, but his son impregnating someone outside of the household doesn't? It doesn't make sense. So he actually believes that a man shouldn't be held responsible when it comes to impregnating a woman. Like, his whole mindset doesn't make sense, and he has that single mother syndrome mentality, and I talk about this all the time on my platform. So that's all that I really have regarding this video, you guys, but I would love your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. And if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so that you're notified for when I upload, and I'll catch you in my next one.